Ebusuafo na etifo ni die kwan so me ma obi bia akwa baba channel so high daily update TV ni die kwan so say na first time baba channel so amesra CT news ni we na so ni gwa be subscribe for more updates so be like no share news ni so ama love say nye bi constructively so or comment bi so a fa share comment section e be gene akenkan na me pa cho na the parliament aye the papa we say the Ghana no akoye you do me I do you tit for tat tit for tat so far obi oboni an fan sana akoye sana because recently ni it say President Akufo Addo the parliament omani metwitwi form na agent na odi na omani metwitwi form a omon men can say parliament that is the parliament clerk na at the letter be koto Akufo Addo ne table so na Akufo Addo say so far allegedly ka na ba say Akufo Addo awon ni omo say hwe na oman fa bia bill bia na say be bia ambeto ni table so regarding to the anti-LGBTQ na before that in kan him say parliament omo nyina parliamentarians ni nyina aba together both the NPP and NDC MPs na aba together aba sign anti-LGBTQ plus into your friends wama make us wama pass that bill no into wama pass a bill no me come your president say nka on sent it to the bill number law na eba sana na ja NPP for led by the last guy NPP lawyers be mean can led by the last guy omo call on dey assembly call Supreme Court as he say assembly was Supreme Court in terms of nsem na ye ni baby a say anti-LGBTQ+ bill no akwesi na me pacho ene parliament call setting no nanka wo say omukodi dwuma bi because say Akufo Addo ye president Akufo Addo the parliament na ni metwitwi form nti no mo nso no make us wo close settings enema adwuma nanka wo say omudi no that is the government businesses and nanka wo say omo no omo pass no say omo ye ne bi nanka nyankopon ya de bibia be ye no omo anye because say omo say Akufo Addo de omo ni metwitwi form na ebi ne say menka ne say the anti-LGBTQ+ law bill now omo pass now aka say president be assent to na president say one assent no parliament say it's a sign they are led by the honorable led by the speaker of parliament Alban Bagbin say and the side omo so no omo nye government bidding bia adwuma bi efa aban no bia no omo nye and again yenim say Akufo Addo appointed 20 ministers and deputy ministers say na nka omo be go through the parliamentary proceedings na as a process na nka be ministers fully ministers any deputy minister ni na no woma cutting off woma parliament can say let the speaker of parliament are joining meeting no ama so far and the parliament na the papa until the men some be ko na kuti na enso no me pacho eno na echi no ana because the NDC MP say Pierre Babonte NDC MPs led by the leader of the minority Atto forcing Pierre Babonte no so be hold the press release be no almost say he said that they are calling for the impeachment of Akufo Addo. Almost say Akufo Addo have flouted laws. Akufo Addo maybe anke was say Akufo Addo fashion Akufo Addo wan fam ran so we boom ran so and we say we boom ran so the side omo so no coming forward bia no say yet say omo make say we match impeachment process as here hwe na anyu bia nwa na omo they are willing say omo be started the impeachment process our parliament no may impeach Akufo Addo we the nsem dey edit pa audio be ko ni akoti ni nyina ene nsem course wa parliament ma right honorable Alban Bagbin that is the speaker and so be adjoining meeting nsem o mo kekan ye mpacho the mention be ko ni akoti nsem no for ourselves say ma kan no comment via fashion comment section me da se panya me nhira.
The reactions to the speaker's action has started. The minority is already addressing the news conference there. Let's take it back to Parliament.
Of the office of the president. The Constitution of Ghana spells out in plain language when the President of the Republic of Ghana must do when Parliament passes a bill and present to His Excellency the President. The President must assent to the bill or must refuse to assent to the bill when it is presented to him as the President of the Republic. These are the only options, and in this case, there is no middle ground at all per the constitutional imperative. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also say that in the instance case of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill 2024, President Akufo Addo has taken a strange and alien position, which is unknown to the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. Given that Parliament has been injuncted in a matter of the President's nominee for the position of ministers and deputy ministers, it is obvious that this Honorable House is also unable and cannot approve those ministerial nominees His Excellency the President has also presented to Parliament. At this point, the President may have to be innovative, dynamic, and think out of the box by downsizing the size of his government. Let me say that merely piling on numbers by way of appointing ministers and deputy ministers does not signal to the people of Ghana that the President understands the seriousness of the mess that he and his government has created in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also say that this may be a good time for President Akufo Addo to listen to the feedback about the size of his government. At the very least, the two top political parties, namely the NDC and the MPP, agree to downsize government size the way forward. There is an urgent need to downsize the government in order to save the taxpayers from huge cost of running the government. Already, President Mahama has signaled that in his next government, he will not appoint more than 60 ministers. Interestingly, we are also aware that the Vice President, who was part of a government that appointed 125 ministers, has come around to also promise 50 ministers. So all what we are saying is that, may I ask, ladies and gentlemen from the media, what is the prudent justification for a Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, which with 2 deputy ministers and a Minister of State? Again, why do we have the same ministers and ministers of local government, 2 deputy ministers and a Minister of State at the Ministry of Local Government? Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to conclude by saying that the Right Honorable Speaker has made an important call, a call for Parliament to unite against the autocratic tendencies of our President and this government. We in the NDC minority is ready to protect the sanctity of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And we stand with the Speaker of Parliament in this. Let the President of Ghana and his government be aware that where this country is going is strange under his watch. And the NDC minority will not countenance it. But I want to urge that it is obvious that His Excellency the President has breached the Constitution, and we will advise ourselves. In the coming days, don't be surprised that we will begin impeachment proceedings against the President. Thank you very much.
News conference there being addressed by the leader of the minority side, Dr. Kesi there.
That underscored the importance of adhering to constitutional and legal frameworks within our democratic governance. Firstly, the President's refusal to accept the transmission of the bill is, by all accounts, not supported by the constitutional and statutory provisions that guide our legislative process. The Constitution clearly delineates the steps to be followed once a bill has been passed by Parliament, mandating the transmission of the bill to the President for assent or rejection. Therefore, the refusal to even accept the bill for consideration falls outside the legal bounds established by our constitutional framework. It is incumbent upon the President to accept the bill and take the necessary action within the prescribed constitutional limits, whether that action is assent, refusal, or referral to the Council of State for advice or Parliament for reconsideration. It is instructive to note that the executive has in the past proceeded with its actions, although there has been pending before the court injunction applications against the state. Secondly, there must be a steadfast rejection of any attempts to unduly fetter or hinder the work of Parliament. The Parliament of Ghana operates as a crucial part of our democracy, embodying the will and voice of the people. Parliament embodies the sovereign will and power of the people. Parliament embodies the might and majesty of the people. And as I keep on saying, the power of the people is stronger than the people in power. Any efforts to obstruct its work, Parliament's work, disrespects this fundamental institution and threatens the principles of governance by consent and representation. Thirdly, it is imperative to remain vigilant against certain dangerous precedents that could potentially undermine the foundation of our democracy. The rejection of a bill's transmission without constitutional basis introduces a precarious deviation from established democratic practices and norms. Such actions, if left unchallenged, may embolden future attempts to circumvent the legislative process, thereby weakening the integrity and efficacy of our democratic institutions. Lastly, in alignment with our constitutional mandates and the principles of good governance, it is essential for the President to adhere to the lawful course of action by accepting the transmission of the bill. Upon receipt, the President has the constitutionally provided options as to what to do. I don't want to repeat it here. As we move forward, it is the collective responsibility of all branches of government, and indeed all citizens, to uphold the Constitution and ensure that our democratic processes are not only preserved, but strengthened. The current impasse presents an opportunity for reflection and reaffirmation of our commitment to the principle of democracy, rule of law, and the unequivocal respect for the legislative process that forms the bedrock of our nation's governance. Honorable members, the Parliament of Ghana will comply with the existing legal frameworks and reject the attempts by the Executive Secretary of the President through his contemptuous letter to instruct the Clerk to Parliament, an officer of Parliament whose position is recognizably under the Constitution. We shall not cease and desist. Be that as it may, honorable members, I also bring to your attention the receipt of a process from the courts titled Roxanne. Honorable member, I'm watching you. And I hear what you say. Be that as it may, honorable members, I also bring to your attention the receipt of a process from the courts titled Roxanne Nelson Eche K. Dafiamapo versus the Speaker of Parliament and the Attorney General, suit number J1/12/2024, which process was served on the 19th, that is yesterday, March 2024, and an injunction motion on notice seeking to restrain the Speaker from proceeding with the vetting and approval of the names of the persons submitted by His Excellency the President until the provisions of the Constitution are satisfied. Honorable members, in the light of this process, the House is unable to continue to consider the nominations of His Excellency the President, to use the language of the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, quote, in the spirit of upholding the rule of law, unquote, until after the determination of the application for interlocutory injunction by the Supreme Court. Honorable members, this is the precedent that is being set by His Excellency the President for all Ghanaians to follow. So any matter that comes before Parliament, any Ghanaian can issue a writ and follow it with an application for injunction. And that is enough to injunct Parliament from proceeding with the consideration of the business in the House. Honorable members, I thank you all for your attention, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana.
And we just heard from the Speaker of Parliament clearly rejecting President Akufo Addo's letter through his secretary to the House. They are unable to accept the anti-LGBTQ bill. The president said of that, more than 20 nominees of the president before ministerial and deputy ministerial nominees will also not go through because of a certain petition that has been filed by NDC MP for Saudai, Roxanne Nelson Dafiameko, and it's in a stage for a confrontation between Parliament and the executive arm, because it's unable to do government business whenever there is an injunction application, something that the minority. He has proceeded to adjourn the House, seen it in. No government business is going to today. The House has adjourned. This is so irregular. Normally, some key government business would have been done But because of this, the Speaker of Parliament has decided that the House is adjourned for Easter break. They are unable to proceed and do any government business, and this has really set the House on fire, where a lot of government outstanding, more than 22 nominees of President Akufo Addo said to be discussed in the House, that has been taken. And so the key government business will also, so that has been the mood in the House. The Speaker of Parliament decided that the House is not going to transact any key business before House adjourns, sign, dine. And this is something that the minority MPs are excited about. You can see them greeting each other because this is something that they always ask for. They say that if the President will not respect the authority of Parliament, then they will also not respect the authority of the Executive. And by virtue of the President's decision to not accept the controversial anti-LGBTQ bill, the Speaker of Parliament has proceeded to adjourn Parliament indefinitely. The House is going on Easter break. Some key government business were expected to be done today in the House, including the approval of some $150 million in loans to support the 2024 budget, including some 22 ministerial nominees, tax waiver requests that have all come before Parliament. In fact, if you look at the other paper for today, it was loaded, it was packed, so much key government business to be done, but all that now will not be done because the Speaker of Parliament has adjourned the House, signed, dine. Those were some of the indications we were getting today that the Speaker of Parliament was going to do something of the sort by insisting that the conduct of the presidency in relation to the anti-LGBTQ bill is clearly contemptuous of the Parliament and its powers, and because of that, the Executive is going to get the same kind of treatment on the floor of the House, that Parliament is not going to proceed to do any work on the Executive if there is any injunction whatsoever that has come before Parliament. And so 22 nominees of the President, ministerial and deputy ministerial nominees, all now will not become ministers until after Parliament resumes from its Easter break. Of course, the standing orders make provisions for the House to come back in terms of having moved the motion so that MPs can come back within the break. But that is the new standard that has been set. The Speaker of Parliament is clear in his mind that the powers of Parliament cannot be hindered by the Executive, and that he considers the attempts that have been made by the Presidency through the Executive Secretary to the President, signing that letter that the Speaker of Parliament describes as contemptuous, will not be taken. So, Brace, before you take it over, the decision of the Speaker of Parliament is that first, they reject completely the decision of the President not to accept the anti-LGBTQ bill, and because of that, no government business will be done. 150 million, the President's nominees, all now will not be done. The House has adjourned, signed, dine. Brace, take it over. The number happened on the